substitutes being quite critical to this game. So Shadipo or Adji, even maybe a Mark Sykes. Who knows?
Ooh, is he
different?
I mean, everyone tells me how good he is, but I don't see it.
You've said the odd flicker.
Every now and then. It's the wonder goal he scored against Portsmouth that really made me think, or not Portsmouth, against Wickham, that makes me think this guy can't play football.
I had a little theory about that, and I know that like the start of the season, the very first lineup Robinson played, he had Sykes on the left of the three up front.
Yeah.
And I know he was very keen for Sykes to play there, and Sykes had a couple of games there and really didn't look good. And as soon as you put him over, he's a bit of a curse that he can play a lot of positions quite well. And then as soon as you put him on the right, he looked a lot better. But that's where James Henry plays. So then you create a balance thing. I get the feeling Robinson is almost like pissed off with Sykes because he didn't fit into his little box where he wanted him to play. And now he's kind of left with another kind of bits and pieces player, like an Anthony Ford, like a Liam Kelly, like a Sykes, like Hansen, who's coming back, where he's kind of a jack and not a master of any.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second installment of the Oxford United preview show. Timestamps are below because to start this, we will be reviewing Oxford's dull draw against Hull and their win over Forest Green in the Papa John's Trophy.
Shut up, Man United fan. It's the Everyone loves the Papa John's.
Yeah, so we're talking about the Papa John's, the League One, and then we'll get into a bit of a discussion about who Blackpool are, who Oxford United are, and how we see this game going. But without further ado or gilding the lily, let's have a look back at the week that was.
Okay, well, then I'll put Thomas on mute mode while I go into this. But yeah, obviously the week started with a 1-1 draw against Hull. We've already done a review on that one. You can see it in the top corner. It was a great game of football. Both sides put a great shift in, and credit to Oxford for getting a draw against a very strong Hull side. But moving on from that, Oxford played another game, which was played on Tuesday night in the Papa John's Trophy. I know we don't care about it. Nobody cares about it. You want Oxford to win because when Oxford get on the pitch, you basically want them to beat a load of blind nuns if they were playing football against them. But ultimately, as soon as the game's over, nobody cares about this Papa John's Trophy. But it was a good opportunity for some of the fringe players to come in and have a look at them. Like, for example, understudy goalkeeper Simon Eastwood. He looks pretty good. But he didn't keep a clean sheet again. Just some of the other fringe players that don't normally play, like Nico Jones, like Rob Hall, like Adji, for example, and the much ostracised Mark Sykes got an outing as well. But the player I was most interested in watching was Jamie Hansen, who has kind of been very much a forgotten player in this Oxford lineup for 2 years. Probably, Tom, you don't even remember him, but we did watch him get a red card when we went to Newport away. He was the guy that got sent off.
No.
He was the guy that nearly broke someone's leg, and everybody around us said that it wasn't, he didn't foul the guy.
The one where it sounded like a gunshot had gone off in the middle of the pitch, and then all the Oxford fans were like, he's diving!
Yes, but and then they booed the Newport player as he hobbled off the pitch. But you know, a decent showing for him, and very, very like early shoots of recovery. He's had such bad luck with injury, and at this point, we really just don't know what sort of a player we're getting. He's been a guy that's come in. We've paid like decent money for him when he signed. He's been a kind of a midfielder, then a holding midfielder, then a right back. At times, Robinson's even slagged him off publicly. He's been one of those players. But it'd be interesting to see what we can get out of him and whether he can stay fit, and whether we can get some return on investment at some point during this season. So it was 1-1. Mode Shadipo scored a really good equalising goal. He scores spectacular goals, doesn't he, whenever he plays or whenever he does find the net. It was a really good individual run and finish. Other than that, a very typical Oxford performance. Looked good at times, could score, looked dozy at times, gave away a bit of a dozy goal. Ultimately went through on penalties. I don't know who we played, but we'll forget about that until it rolls around next time around. Yes.
Do you ever imagine that when Carl Robinson leaves Oxford United, that it will be like The Simpsons tire fire, but instead of tires, it's just going to be the names of players that he's publicly outed as not liking or saying they're bad at their job?
In what way? Because the Springfield tire fire is just a fire that never goes out.
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be almost every single player that ever played under him, just a name on fire.
Possibly, but there are some that he seems to favour. Like I can think of James Hendry, Matt Taylor, Rob Atkinson, and pretty much the whole 11 that started against Hull. The only player that played in the Forest Green Rovers game was a beta because he needed the game time, but every other player was rested really from that one, and quite rightly so. But Thomas, I know as always, or like you did for the whole game, you've done a bit of research on Blackpool. So tell me what we can expect on this trip to the Seaside.
Right, let's see what I've got here. So Blackpool currently sit in 12th place. They're on 22 points. Gillingham are a point clear of them in 11th, and Crewe are a couple points below them in 13th. Their recent form is nothing short of fantastic. They're probably in the top 3 form teams in the league. They've won 5 of their last 6, including the last 2 in a row. In that run, they have been amazing. They've beaten Portsmouth, Peterborough, and Fleetwood, 3 teams you would back on any day to beat pretty much anyone in this league. Neil Critchley's their manager. You've mentioned this, and apparently I forgot about it, but he left the Liverpool under-23s role. It does start to feel like he's stripping this club back and building it in his own image, especially with the fact that Blackpool are not losing every game this season or just imploding like they tend to normally do. I did a bit of research, and it seems like they play a 4-3-3 most of the time. They do play a 4-4-2 in some games, especially in big matches where they seem to want to have a bit more control and be a little bit less open. But it's always the same team selection, it looks like, and they kind of rotate between the two. Maxwell is their established goalkeeper. Yates, Medine, and CJ Hamilton and Kai have been amazing, though. Yates and Medine have 5 goals overall for the club. Their top league scorer is CJ Hamilton with 4 goals, and he's also got 3 assists. Kai's in there as their 4th highest goal scorer. And despite not scoring a lot of goals, they have 4 players that are a constant threat to the opposition. And I think that's really what's getting them through this, is that you can mark Yates and Medine out the game, but then CJ Hamilton's there. All right, well, we'll mark Hamilton out the game. Well, Kai's there. They've got a lot of attacking players that seem to be able to rotate formations quite easily. And I think this has provided kind of the base of their success this season. Outside of that, I only have 2 other things to say. One is that they don't have a set style of play. They're willing to be the possession-based side, or they're willing to sit back and let the other team attack them. They're pretty willing to figure out whatever the other team's doing and then try and find the flaws within that. I think that's a really good skill to have, and it shows a team that's kind of willing to think on the fly and think for themselves. And the last thing for all Oxford United fans is that Luke Garbett is there online. That's right. Luke Garbett will never leave League One.
Yes, Luke Garbett. Oxford a couple of years ago. But they also got Ben Woodburn as well. He was at Oxford last year, and he's barely played as well, so he's probably got injured again. From what I just thought about this Blackpool side is obviously with Critchley going in there, I assumed that maybe rightly, maybe wrongly, that he would want to play some kind of Gagan-style pressing game, which was almost like what Liverpool has been the DNA of Liverpool, I imagine, through the age group since Klopp's got there. And I imagine that would just take time to come through to the Blackpool players, and that's why they're a bit inconsistent. I think why we get a bit pissed off of them is because we back them to win and then they lose, and then we just go off on a rad tangent about them on Premier League predictions. But I see them as quite similar to Oxford in many ways, as a side that does like to press, that does like to turn the ball over, like win the ball high in the opposition's half and counterattack well. And I think the biggest difference between Oxford and Blackpool is the fact of late Blackpool have really got their defence sorted out, and because for the quality of the play they produce and the chances they have, they don't score enough goals, which is something obviously Oxford are massively guilty of. And I just think they've sorted it out at the back and managed to get a few 1-0 wins. Hopefully that's something Oxford are sorting out a bit now and do look a bit stronger. I don't see Oxford making any changes. I see it being the same side that started against Hull, and I think that is the right way to go. I also see this game. I think this game will be great. I think it will be frenetic. I think both sides will really go for it and press high. And I really see it being quite an end-to-end game for like the first hour. And when a game's end-to-end, Tom, you know what it's like? It's like a netball match. That's right. And then once everyone gets knackered of pressing, it will become what impact the subs can have. And I think that is where Oxford's bench really needs to step up in this game. We need to see Shodipo, Adji. Hopefully, he's mended some fences with Sykes, and we can see a bit of Sykesy in this one as well. But those, maybe even someone like Robbie Hall coming off the bench, will really be interesting to see how they go against tired Blackpool legs. And if the game is in the balance, I see Oxford subs could be a real factor in this one.
Yeah, hopefully a really good game. Obviously, our predictions, I said 3-0 to Oxford, you said 2-0 to Oxford. I think we're both seeing it, especially for me, having done research on Blackpool. I definitely see it being closer than that. I don't see them getting blown out.
Yeah, I mean, score lines don't always tell the full picture, though, do they? I mean, there's many games I've come on and reviews this season and said, we played all right and we lost 2-0. So, it could it could be a game where Blackpool play really well and Oxford just pick them off for once, or vice versa.
The lesser seen Oxford picking off.
Yeah. The never seen.
I think we did it once last year.
Yeah, I'm sure we must have done.
Yeah, anything else to say on this one then, Ian?
No, not really. I do expect it to be a good game. We really need the points. We are still sat in a relegation zone. As much as everyone will say we're far too good to be down there, we are down there and we need the wins. So I really just hope Oxford can put a good victory on the board here, or at very least, come away with a point, and so you can carry on a little bit of a mini unbeaten run going.
So Oxford fans, please comment. Let us know what you think of this stellar breaking down of how this match should go. Blackpool fans, tell me all the mistakes I've made. I assume there are many. I'm sure Yates, Medine, CJ, Hamilton, and Kai don't even play for you. I was probably looking at the wrong team. Let me know in the comments.
Let
us know in the comments.
Where's Charlie Adam?
Have a look in the description, please. We have a lot of links, Amazon affiliates, etc. If it's in the UK, please click through there. Have a look at Grandstand Betters. Have a look at any of the charities that we are trying to push you to donate money to. Ian, any final words?
No, not really. Just I hope the game's a good one, and we'll be back for maybe me and Thomas. It might just be me for a review on Saturday. See how right or how wrong we were.